Hello all, and welcome to, well, this afternoon's, well, it's almost evening's review. It's pretty late for a review considering my current hours. But, yeah, I know I said I would review the sake next, but I forgot about Martin Luther King Day. And after, the sort of weekend I had, I don't know when I'm going to upload this, but I'm certain that a lot of you remember the nuclear missile threat that we had in Hawaii that turned out to be false. Well, I had to go and evacuate an entire farmer's market by myself, and yeah, that was really stressful and unpleasant, to say the least. So I'm going to be reviewing two beers tonight, two very heavy beers. I've already eaten dinner and it's pretty full. I've taken care of my chickens, so they're happily pecking around, doing chicken things in their coop and outside and making chicken noises. So we're going to review two beers, and this is going to be our first review. And this is for a local brew. The next one is not for a local brew, but it's just for a bomber that was on sale that I kind of wanted to go and try. But this one's for a local brew, quotation marks here, because it's actually brewed in California. This is a Lanai series from Kona Brewing Company, which is a company based in Hawaii, but does most of their brewing and bottling on the mainland. They're not a true independent brewer anymore, since they are 1/3 owned by Anheuser-Busch InBev conglomerate. But I just kind of want to go and review these ones anyway, just because, well, they're on sale, and plenty of people still kind of consider Kona a local brew, even though it's technically, not anymore. Well, the ones on draft in Hawaii are brewed in Hawaii, but that's about it. All bottled things are brewed on the mainland. So, what is this particular Lanai Series 1? Well, this is the one for winter, and it's an Imperial Vanilla Stout. They had it in their bar at one point called, like, Vanilla Thriller, or something like that. And I believe this is, something along those lines. Of course, this is for winter, and Imperial Stouts are not a style you see much in Hawaii, because Hawaii doesn't have much of a winter. It's currently like 78 degrees right now. So it's hot enough that I'm not wearing my flannel, which I usually put on after it dips below 75 degrees or so Fahrenheit. Yes, I know, it's pathetic. I know. Very pathetic, but I can take heat probably better than you. And I'm sunburned as hell today from work, because I was outside quite a bit. And I forgot to put on my block. So, this is 8.5 ABV, so kind of on the heavy side. And this is a stout brewed with vanilla beans and other natural flavor added. Going to be pouring this into a stout glass. Then I've let this warm up for a little bit. Probably not enough, but it should warm up enough in the glass. Can't you hear those chicken noises, eh? I like chicken noises. That's why I went and adopted chickens. So, and maybe it is warm enough considering how much head I got out of this for a fairly slow pour. Nearly opaque, a sort of yellow amber for when the thin part of the light goes through. Rather carbonated for an Imperial Stout. With actually it's kind of a slightly fizzy head. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually it's not as thick as most Imperial Stout heads, which are usually pretty resilient. Big vanilla smell. Big chocolate smell. It almost smells like chocolate cake. Very sweet. Almost just a hint of the more roasty aspects of the malting, which kind of comes across more like a baker's kind of smell, a baking cake kind of smell instead of a roasting smell. That's how sweet the nose is. Maybe a touch cloyingly sweet on the nose for the style. despite the sweetness of the nose, sweetness is just, it's to style in the palate there. Hints of it in the front, through the mids, and into the long finish. Roastiness kind of shows up in the long finish, along with just a slight hint of hops bitterness. That doesn't completely cut the sweetness, but just kind of interplays with it. In the front, almost like a chocolate chip kind of taste, a bittersweet chocolate chip kind of taste. For the style, it's rather light on the tongue. Most Imperial Stouts I've had are almost oily feeling on the tongue. This one is fairly light and has a fairly strong carbonation bite for the style. Not much vanilla in, on the palate, more in the effervescent note. There's some slight vanilla notes on the palate in the finish, more kind of chocolate notes, more bittering notes, both malt and hops there. In the mid to finish, the vanilla also makes a more tactile, shows up in a more tactile way. It adds a level of creaminess to it, a level of smoothness just for a brief moment in that mid to finish. And then it kind of just rises up into, upper parts here of your nose, while the bittering aspects sort of interplay on the tongue, the hops and the roasted malts. Doesn't taste 8.5. Doesn't particularly feel 8.5 either. It doesn't feel 8.5 on the palate, and doesn't really feel 8.5 in the gullet either. As it's warming up here, it's getting a little bit more of that sort of roasty aspect, especially in the mid to finish. Still fairly muted for the style. Some more, I'm not going to say brighter notes, but more upper level notes there. A little bit of, it's hard to describe what I mean by that, other than kind of relating it to synthonesia tones, where there's heavier tastes, or what I think of low tastes, and things that kind of rise up and are lighter, or higher taste, lighter tastes, even if they're not really lighter, it's relatively speaking. You know what I mean? All in all, not exactly to style, but by that same token, not a bad beer. It's drinkable. And maybe I'm being a little bit hard on it because, it is Kona Brewing. But I'm saying, it's drinkable, it's enjoyable, it's just not exactly the style. It's just a touch too light for style. But may we also be reminded we're in Hawaii. Wouldn't an Imperial Stout be maybe a touch more lighter to kind of deal with the fact that it is, 78 degrees at 5 p.m. right now, and rather on the humid and sunny side, as my sunburn and sweat shows. So I actually had quite a bit to talk about with this beer, so I'm kind of happy with that. I always like having a lot to talk about with the beers that I'm drinking. So I'm going to finish this bomber, and hopefully it shouldn't go too much to my head because I had a large meal, and I'm going to be drinking some water, and then I am going to go into our second review of the evening. Okay. Kona Brewing Lanai Series Imperial Vanilla Stout. That's your first beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers.